2 of the GLR eSports season. I am going to quickly just turn the mic down. One, two, 1, 2. That's much better. Okie dokie. Just gonna be sorting out my social media while we follow is out on track. Currently next gen lager with a 157. Magic Mike 3 seconds behind, Frankin 4 seconds, Kazi 10, next gen 10 and GLR 12. So Kazi and Bean are very close in the GT3s. GLR a couple of seconds behind. So I'm just going to be sorting out my social medias, and I will be back in 2 seconds. With now 90 seconds to go before qualifying, we will see where the drivers end up on track. We are expecting more drivers to join in. We'll see how that one progresses.
Green light, go, go, go.
And here we are. So we're going to jump on board with Next Gen Lager, who was the winner and leader for the majority of last week's GLR Round 1 race. A few alterations with Magic Mike, both having some moments. Next Gen Lager was able to capitalise at the end of the race and bring in that round 1 podium position. How do you do it all, Cordell? All drivers now on their outlaps. Magic still in the pits, so let's jump on board with Next Gen Bean. Number 69, Next Gen Bean in the BMW M4 GT4 class. Which is a 6-cylinder inline 4 valves M twin power turbo technology, direct injection Valvetronic, 2.979 cubic centimeters, output more than 431 horsepower, which is all dependent on the balance of performance. So 430 horsepower, these cars are kicking out. Good aerodynamics, but the aerodynamics just do not compete with the GT3 cars. So we'll just stay on board with the GT4s and we'll jump on board with Mr. GLR JD. In the Mercedes AMG. Kazimitsu is joining us in the GT4 Mercedes alongside JD. It is absolutely fantastic to have Kazi with us, flaunting my second favourite set of numbers, 666. And we shall move to GLR Racer. Since 2018, the BMW M4 GT4 has been an integral part of the BMW M Motorsport portfolio. Sitting below the BMW M6 GT3 and above the BMW M240i Racing in its debut year, this uncompromising motorsports car based on the BMW M4 Coupe impressed with 33 class victories and almost 100 podium places, immediately inspiring racing teams across the globe. Looks like we have another driver joining us. Let's jump aboard now with threes. And we have Anand, who told me earlier he will be setting his traction control to 8 on his formation lap. For anyone wondering why, if you check our GLR round 1 video and check the formation lap, you'll see why Anand may be tactic. So, who was that? So next gen Bean there moving aside for the faster Lexus GT3. And point, not even a tenth of a hundredth, sorry. Yeah, sorry, a tenth of a second, not even a tenth between Anun and Next. Now this was the round one the GLR opening race, but unfortunately Anun did have his formation lap issue. Hopefully, let me know if that's sorted it, Cordell. Yeah, sorry, Anun was definitely in for the top running as of last week's race, but again he had that formation lap issue. And now we're going to jump aboard Magic Mike in the Ferrari GT3. Currently 1.3 behind Next Gen Lager, who is consistently showing fast lap times. And with two more GT3 cars, we have Mr. Takowski in the GT3 Mercedes. So we have 3 Mercedes on track, 2 GT4s and 1 GT3, and you can tell just by looking at this GT3 Mercedes, look at the size increase, the added aerodynamics, which all drivers in the GT Championship say that when they go from GT4 to GT3, the aerodynamics is increased by such a degree that you have to trust the car so much more, because there's just so much more weight being pushed down on that car through the corners that you can take so much more liberties with a GT3. So we're going to see what Takowski is going to be able to offer us on his first lap around Nürburgring, and we look like we're having optimum temperatures today. That could change at any point with the realistic settings, but given though it's Nürburgring, I would imagine that we should be treated with good weather. And Franklin in the 678 Ferrari GT3. So leading the GT4 qualifying session is Kazumitsu. Been gone for a little while, comebacks, and there he goes, top of the leaderboard. Congratulations, good sir. Currently in provisional second in the GT4 class, we have Next Gen Bean in the 430 horsepower M4. Both of these are on the last laps, followed by GLR racer. So he crosses the finish line there. 5, 6, 7, 6, 7. 7/10 over Kazi. Kazi looks like he's just not being able to capitalise on that 10.5. So that leaves GLR racer out on track, and GLR JD. And so that puts Lager in as P1, Anun in P2 with only 0.5 behind P1. Magic Mike with a 1.7 currently on his last lap. So we will stay on board with Magic. See whether he can capitalise on the 0.7 difference between the Ferrari and the Bentley. And over the line he goes. And he has made an increase of 0.4. Qualifying pace, race pace, very different. Anything can happen. Things will happen. Anything is on the cards with these races. Can I get back to the garage? Yes, I can. Happy days. So we're going to jump on board with P4. And we will start from the helicam. Big shout out to the driver piloting the helicam today. We appreciate that very much. And drivers now entering the grid position. And we have a formation lap, which is most certainly an ideal opportunity for all drivers to get their tyres up to temperature, which means when that infamous green drops, they will have at least as optimum tyre pressures as possible on the formation lap. Obviously we want that magic 27.7 thereabouts. So we're going to see the drivers warm up their tyres, braking hard, moving left, moving right. We're going to be taking a close eye on P2 and None. See whether he has mastered the technique of the formation lap. And with 27 seconds to go, I want to thank everyone that's joining in and watching this video later on, as we are now 16 seconds into round 2 of the GLR eSports season. Let's go! And the drivers now beginning to break formation. And we can see that beautiful accordion effect going on there. We are going to stay on board with Mr. Takowski. When you are in drive mode, you cannot change drivers, you can only change cameras. For anyone that does not know and wondering why I'm not doing that, you have to back out into the garage to change drivers, but then when you do that you can't change cameras. So we're going to stay on with number 4 because that's going to give us a pretty good view of the leader and the rest, especially from this view. We could jump on board with Mr. Takowski, and in front of him in podium position in the Ferrari, number 511, we have the infamous Magic Mike. The Ferrari GT3 is his favourite car in the GT3 series. And we have the Ferrari there franking, having some extremely aggressive left and right short movements, warming up those front tyres as fast as he can. Mercedes GT3. So the Mercedes GT3 one of these for £342,000. They are a 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8, 6-speed sequential paddle shift rear wheel drive, 3 seconds to 0 to 60, 180 mile an hour plus, all dependent on what track they will be racing at. And a weight of under 1,285 kilograms, made of steel and carbon fibre. The GT3 cars are absolute weapons. Personally going to see the Silverstone race on the 27th of last month. You can most certainly see, hear and feel the difference of the GT3 cars compared to the GT4s. Racing the Nürburgring, we are coming up to the start finish, waiting for the infamous green, green, green. As they all traverse the final corner of the Nürburgring and down the start straight. And it's a green light, it's go, go, go. We have the Bentley in P1 as he makes his way down to turn 1. We have the Lexus in P2 has tucking behind the Bentley. Is he going to make that move? He's looking on the outside, he's taking the outside line, which gives him the benefit of a better run out. All drivers traversing their way through. Ferrari and Mercedes side by side now as they come up to the left-hand corner. Positions not really changing round too much as of yet. I will try, maybe it is I will turn the microphone gain down a little bit more. Get a little bit too excited perhaps. But as we continue, nevertheless, we have Magic Mike in P3 and the top two in the Bentley and the Lexus, two cars that are perhaps not the most common of choices in the GT3 classes. So we're just going to jump back out in a moment and jump on board with the first two as we see the cars progress through the field with a 40-minute race to go, and the pit opening up later on in the race. Absolutely anything is open to happen. Now if you'll all just excuse me for maybe 5 seconds, the screen will turn blue as I'm just going to turn the gain down of the microphone to hopefully stop this crackling. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Okay, so we're going to have to leave it like that. Hopefully that one sorts it out. On board now in P2, chasing the Bentley down, who was also the winner of last week's GLR round 1. And none absolutely showed his true colours regarding his driving performance. Span out, he wasn't able to catch up. A little spin out there, but he's able to catch it. He's pushing that Lexus to its limits, taking as much of the track as he possibly can, which he will need to keep up with this Bentley in full swing here as they come up to this left-hand corner. Behind him, he's just missed out. He's got that wide exit, back early on the gas. Maybe he's got a better run on the exit. It looks like he does, perhaps. A little bit of swinging in and out there. I'm not sure whether they're the difference of power bands between the two cars here and differences in lines, but this is an interesting battle here for ultimately P1 as they come to the right hand corner through this Nürburgring section. not quite able to capitalise the best exit there, and none. But nevertheless, those two are well and truly going at it. Next. Yeah, it's a Logitech G Pro headset. Next week will be streamed with an audio interface and a condenser mic. I was hoping to get that done today, but it takes an incredible amount of setting up. So next week's stream, we should be able to stream through Streamlabs and have a different professional microphone. So for today, this is all I have available. I will have a little look to see if I can find another jack lead. So it definitely seems that P1 and P2 are battling it out for those positions, and you can just see in the corner there of the screen and none making his very close pressure, and it looks like Tarkowski unfortunately with a spin there, which means the Ferrari is going to catch up. He's going to take a couple of corners there to get maximum adhesion back from his the Pirelli tyres, and that leaves Magic Mike with a comfortable position now in P3. If I remember rightly, he came back in ended up in P2, I believe, in the last season. So if he can continue this way, it looks like he's going to get some good points. And we're going to jump on board now with the leader. We're going to jump on board with the leader of the GT3 class. Next Gen Bean. So it seems that the Next Gen crew, or at least if you change your PlayStation name to Next Gen, you're going to be in for the runnings for the top spots. Both these drivers, I think they must be friends, recently joined the GLR eSports server, and they are proving to show respect both in the server and on track. Absolutely lovely folks, and also nailing it on track. Kazi not spent as much time as he would have liked on the Centre Course compared to Zoni, going away on holidays, spending time with his loved one. He has joined the GLR Round 2 race, and here he is in provisional GT4 P2, continuing to put pressure on Next Gen Bean. So only a second behind Next Gen Bean as well. So we're going to jump on board, and we can see the differences between P1 and P2. It looked like Next Gen Bean was a little bit too hot into that corner as the BMW was sliding only a touch, but that's going to give Kazi a little bit of an advantage, and it looks like he's gained a tenth, so nearly 2/10 there. Driving these GT4 cars, it doesn't necessarily require too much of a difference in driving style, but there is a lot less aerodynamics, so there is less grip, depending on how much you're turning the cars, how much adhesion level is left in the Pirelli GT4 tyres. So any slide into, through, or out of the corner is going to cost you. Look how close Kazi was there. penultimate corner here at the Nürburgring, showing true finesse as he continues to chase down number 69, M4. Little battle between the M4 and the AMG here. Different engines, totally different chassis, so it's interesting to watch these two battle it out. And then we have GLR Racer in the M4 battling GLR GT in the other AMG. Absolutely cracking watching these two race it out. Kazimitsu and Next Gen B. It looks like Kazi has lost half a second somewhere. Has now gained an extra 2, so this is the beauty of racing. It's close, it's always changing, and we're going to move on to GLR Racing now as he is in the shadow of number 666 Kazimitsu, chasing him down in the BMW M4. Corner. So the penultimate corner is Coca-Cola, it says on here. And over the start finish, GLR Racing goes. We'll stay on board for a few more moments as he watches him traverse turn 1 of the Nürburgring, the Castrol S, as he makes his way through the Mercedes arena. Opening up now to RTL. Onto the right-hand bend, which is named Ford. So as he traverses his way through Ford, maximising that acceleration as much as he can on his exit there. Entering Dunlop, which is a long late apex corner, and up to the Michael Schumacher S. Into Kumo. I'm sure what this next one is. It looks like 8-bit, but I'm sure that's not what it's called. Right-hand bend through the Ad Van Bogen, coming up to the NGK chicane, and as he makes his way to the penultimate corner through Coca-Cola, he makes his way over the start and finish straight. That was a lap by GLR Racer. GLR JD in quick pursuit, cresting that start finish line he goes. Jump forward with the leading pack now, as we are watching our known only 0.6 of a second, which is a blink of an eye behind the orange Bentley. Both drivers doing an absolutely awesome job here as they come up to the NGK chicane. We're maximising as much momentum here as we can plant that throttle, which it looks like he has, and it looks like the Bentley's gone into the pits. So the pit window is now open. The Bentley has taken this opportunity to go into the pits, which gives Anun a clear track. So this means he's going to push. We'll see whether he stays out on track or whether he's going to pit in on the next lap. Like I keep mentioning, I'm not sure of the parameters of the pits. I do know if you have pit controls on as manual, you do save 2 to 3 tenths, or thereabouts, and there are some other parameters as well. But Anun now leading the pack. Followed by Magic Mike. Let's see. Only just behind Anun. So Magic's doing a solid race here. Anything can happen with these leading two. It most certainly happened last week in the round 1 of the GLR eSports season, and P1P2 changed hands on 4 occasions, if I am correct. So with Magic Mike now caught up with 3/10 of a second there. Absolutely anything is possible, and you can see another driver make his way through the right-hand bend. It's a pleasure to watch, and control the Lexus GT3, which is an interesting choice. I'll be curious to know why he has chosen that car as he makes his way through the NGK chicane and up towards Coca-Cola. Does he go? So this car is the Lexus RCF GT3 with a 5.4 litre V8,
Pit window is open.
337 plus kilowatts of power and 500 plus of DIN HP. I'm not quite sure what that means, but obviously with balance of performance, you can see the 001 flashing there on Anun's LED there on the window screen. Magic Mike consistently within 3 seconds, so he is not losing any position. And that will have meant that Next Gen Lager is back out on track, and he is now last in the GT3 class, but first to pit. It looks like he is in for another cracking race. If he gets position 1 at the end of this race with 22 minutes and a lap remaining, that will put him in as leader for both races, which is going to put him in a very good standing for points in the GLR eSports series. Now the Bentley GT3. Is a twin-turbo V8 repositioned to the rear of the engine bay. Race power approximately 500 horsepower with a displacement of 4,000 cubic centimeters. Double wishbone suspension front and rear, which is a beautiful setup. This car really is a true contender. Only one Bentley on the real British GT Championship in orange and blue. And with a weight of 1,300 kilograms, it is most certainly a contender there as he makes his way past the start finish straight, and Frankie gone into the pit, so now he has made that position. Coming up to the first corner here at the Nürburgring GP. We have 21 minutes remaining, coming up to the halfway mark. Session was 3.5, now 2.8. That is a 0.7 increase to a none in the Lexus, and like we previously mentioned, the Bentley has already pitted and a none has gone into the pits now. So his tactic has left Magic Mike out in provisional P1. Of course, he is left to pit. But this now gives him a free race, free track rather, to capitalise as much time as he can, and it's going to be very interesting to see where the Bentley comes out in relation to number 14, the Lexus. He is closing in fast now, so we're going to jump on board. We are going to see what happens here between what was provisional P1 and P2, currently P3 and P4. Still in the pits is Anun as we follow Next Gen. Can we see Anun still in the pits, or is he leaving? He's just leaving the pits. So Next Gen and Anun are side by side. He doesn't quite have that exit speed. Is he going to take that inside line? He doesn't have that inside line, but look how close this action is now. The Bentley is going to have his tyres up to temperature, which is giving him this initial advantage, so we may see him pull away from the Lexus for the first lap and first few corners, but we will see how this progresses. And this also means that, if it was maybe 3-4 laps extra, that the Lexus stayed out on track, which means towards the end of the race, he should have more grip left on his tyres in the closing minutes of round 2 here. So that was a very interesting outcome. And I would imagine we're going to continue to see a little bit sideways there of the Lexus as he pushes as hard as he can on the exit, as they both traverse their way through these set of corners coming up to the NGK chicane. Absolutely amazing battle here. I'm going to quickly jump on board now with Next Gen's partner. Next Gen being, well, I was going to say is P1, but now GLR Racer is provisional P1. Yet to pit. I would assume that Next Gen being is still in P1, but we will see what happens here as the race progresses and the drivers have 55 seconds now to enter that pit. So I'm hoping that the drivers that are out on track that have not pitted are going to pit with 46 seconds to go. I don't know whether it's mandatory. I'm going to assume it is. But 36 seconds to go. We'll see what happens there as this unwinds. Kazumitsu now in second, Next Gen and GLR JD. The beautiful GT4 Mercedes. Magic just following the shadow of Anun and Next Gen, as he is literally one corner behind these cars. But like I mentioned, anything can happen, and as we can see, number 46 in the Bentley is about to come and hit up traffic in the number 69 car. So we're going to jump on board with number 69 as we watch the more powerful GT3 cars chase down and ultimately overtake with 15 minutes left to go. For anyone watching this race as a video, appreciate that very much. Just wanted to give another shout out to GLR eSports. Please join GLR Discord and TMK Racing 44 Discord. Bentley so much later and heavier on the brakes there. Looks like he wants to make that space. And the Bentley has now made that move, which means the Lexus is now in the worst position here. So it is a mandatory pit stops and tyre change. So it looks like Kazi Next Gen. I will check when I back out of there, but the Lexus has just passed on the outside of Next Gen being letting Next Gen Lager through. A little bit curious actually to whether he was perhaps maybe helping Next Gen Lager and not moving out the way for Anun. And there is no obligation to move out as long as there is no dangerous driving, albeit GLR rules. So backing out now. Back on board with Anun chasing down P1. We have an absolutely awesome race here. So it looks like Next Gen Lager. I apologise, there's so much to catch up with. Follow. Sometimes get a little bit lost in it all. With 13 minutes 46 seconds to go. We are on board with the Lexus, following in the shadow of the bright orange Bentley GT3, maximising track widths there as he's wide on the exit, and that's given the Lexus a good run. That's given the Lexus a good run here. So he is absolutely going to make a move here. It's the Bentley. Look at this. He's got that position. He wanted that inside line. Oh, he's touched the grass. He's lost control, which has given the Lexus some extra space, and it looks like he's made that space. Oh no, Next Gen isn't going to like that. He was under pressure. He went for that inside line to defend. He's touched the grass. He's lost even more time, and that's given space to Lexus, and he has now capitalized, and he is now in P1. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this race, I most certainly recognised he was a cracking driver, and throughout round 1 of the GLR race, and the Bentley pushing his way out there as they make their way through the GT4 Mercedes. That looks like Kazumitsu is taking a wide line and being as respectful as he can there, letting the GT3 cars pass through, and it looks like there is now a fairly decent gap between P1 and P2. We've got a delta of 1.3 seconds, so I would imagine that the heartbeat of Next Gen Lager is going to increase the fair few there, as he has been in P1 for the majority of this race. He's been put under pressure as they made their way through the GT4 classes. He's made a very easy mistake, just clipping that grass as he was defending that line, so he was having to stay on the brakes a little bit longer, and ultimately what that done is it's given the Lexus that P1 position. Magic Mike now 8 seconds behind the leading two, but in a very comfortable position in P3. P4 had a little bit of an off, so he is unable to apply pressure to number 511, who is a fair way down the field right now. Absolute pleasure to have Takowski on board with the GLR crew. Magic Mike now making his way past Kazumitsu as he again respectfully moves out of the way for the GT3. Ferrari. So we're going to jump on board with Magic Mike now, as we have a hot lap of the Nürburgring GP. I will look closely on the leaderboard to make sure we have no events per se. It looks like Next Gen Lager is now second behind, just under a second. Now you don't really see many Ferraris in the British GT class. This is a British GT race. In England, so we're just going to stay on board now unless anything changes between Unknown and Next Gen Lager, as Magic Mike treats us to an on-board lap guide of the Nürburgring GP. Comfortably in P3 now, making his way through the GT4 pack. Have a type PB2 V8 at 90 degrees, displacement of 3,996 cubic centimeters does the Ferrari GT3. And Magic Mike now with a little bit of an off. GLR racer is in pursuit of Next Gen B. I'm not sure if Kazi's gone in the pits, but if Kazi has gone in the pits, then he is currently one. I'm not entirely sure what the orange one means, to be honest. See the driver in front of GLR racer, which is Next Gen B, and traverses his way through the corner. That GLR racer is now entering. Dougie exiting the M4, continuing to chase down fellow M4. Tyre wear now as we look to the remainder of this race with 7 minutes and 24 seconds to go. I am most certainly going to jump on board. Magic Mike with a couple of answers there. It looks like he is well and truly behind Next Gen Lager. Okay. So Next Gen Lager has most certainly had an off. Now, judging by Magic Mike's 2 offs, it looks like he perhaps was just looking into the flow, not too worried about position. But now Next Gen Lager has clearly made a mistake trying to get that P1 position back, being put under pressure by the fantastic racecraft of Unknown in the Lexus. It's now given Magic Mike a position to potentially take P2. Now, the 2 mistakes that he had, if they did not happen, I would assume that he would already have P2. So this is why it is always important to be as consistent as you can in these races. drivers will always make mistakes, drivers are always going to be put under different types of pressure, so anything is going to happen in these races. So that would have meant that Magic Mike would most certainly been in P2 now, and put even more pressure on the position 1 podium winner of the round of GLR eSports race, putting into P3 when he's led this race in P1. So much to consider and think about there, but at the same time, this also means that Magic Mike can see it's not even a corner ahead. You can see the NGK corner being traversed here through the Bentley and now followed by the Ferrari. And we're going to jump off board now as he finishes his lap of the Nürburgring. You can most certainly see that he's chasing down this Bentley. Still in P1. Again, I am not sure if he has pitted. If he has, he is in P1, followed by Next Gen, 9 seconds behind Kazumitsu. So Kazumitsu, again, not really being involved in the Assetto Corsa races or seasons with the GLR boys, but is showing absolutely amazing racecraft here. He most certainly showed his ability in GT Sport. Very, very, very difficult to keep up with him. And it looks like that racecraft ability is showing in Assetto Corsa Competizione. With 3 minutes to go now, there's not much happening across the board apart from now Magic Mike under 3 seconds, so he has made about 3/10 on Next Gen Lager, and Anon well and truly gapping as he comes up to the first corner of Nürburg as Next Gen exits the penultimate corner of the Nürburg, followed Magic Mike. So they're still on board Next Gen. Background there, which we can in this view, with that GT3 spoiler, absolute weapon of a car. Can't really get over how aggressive the aerodynamics are of the GT3 cars. They're certainly not like weapons in real life. Mistakes or any race pace. So as we come into the final 2 minutes now of round 2 of the GLR eSports race, we have Anon in current provisional P1, Next Gen Lager in P2, and a little bit off track, which is most certainly going to give that Ferrari another run, and he's gone off track with bad tyres, and the Lexus crossing over these start-finish line, and you see the Bentley trying to get as much of that debris off as he can, as they are now all entering the final laps following the leader here of round 2 GLR eSports Nürburgring. Very interesting to see the outcome of this race and the drivers' points and position. And as we enter the final 50 seconds here, through the late apex long right-hander. Followed by Next Gen, and now 1.9 seconds behind is the Ferrari. Now 1.3. He didn't have them two offs, Magic Mike. He would have most certainly been in P2 now, but regardless, he looks like he will still be a P3 position at the end of this race. But we're going to keep on board with these two and see how this progresses as all drivers now entering the final laps. 1.299 go, continuing to apply that pressure. We have 0 seconds remaining, and we're just going to jump on board quickly with Anun as he crosses that start finish. And congratulations, you are most certainly showing. The Bentley has gone off. The Bentley has gone off, which has meant Magic has took that P2. Unbelievable turn of events there as the Bentley is slowly coming to the stop. I imagine he's going to be frustrated, and 130-second penalty. Oh no, good sir, we're going to jump on board with P4, number 884. So that has completely and utterly changed the turnaround of this event. That shocked me somewhat as we watch P4 Tarkowski in the Mercedes cross that start finish. 666, followed by number 666 Kazimitsu. It does say he is +1 lap, so perhaps he's not the leader of the GT4s. Maybe have missed his pit opportunity. This is his first race back. Again, I'm not sure. Yes, he's got a 130-second window penalty, sorry. Followed by Bean, who is P1 in the GT4 class, and we have Dougie now in the M4 as he crosses the start-finish line. Last on track is Frankie in the Ferrari GT3. Very good race there, absolute pleasure having you on track, and that ends round 2 of the GLR eSports season at Nürburgring, and what a race outcome that was.